Alright, we are now looking at figure 967, and we are looking to draw on the base of this part, the cylinder of the part, and then we're going to put on what I call the wings all the way around this part after that fact. So the first thing we're going to do is go up to New, a standard IPT, and hit OK. The grid comes up, and we're going to start off by drawing a rectangle. And I'm going to left click and drag a rectangle out. I'm going to right click, say Done. Right click and say Create Dimension. Left click, pull out. Left click, pull out. This is 3.5. Again, I'm reading over here 3.5, and this one is 4. So now my box is 3.5 by 4. I'm going to come over here to my orbit, and I'm just going to orbit it up a little bit again, just tweak it so I can see the 3D solid modeling of it. I'm going to go right click, Done. Right click, Finish Sketch. So now that I can extrude that profile comes up 0.38 it says. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say 0.38 is the distance. I will hit OK. So that is my base. So now I need to right click, do a new sketch on this face. I'm going to look at that face, and then I'm going to draw a circle off of the center of this point. Now what I'm probably going to have to do is do a midpoint line. Oops. I'm going to draw a line first. A line from the midpoint to the midpoint. Right click, Done. So I can draw a circle from this midpoint at a diameter of 1.75, the drawing says over on the left. I will go right click, Done. I'm going to highlight this line, and I'm going to delete it by hitting delete on the keyboard. So I'm going to tweak this one around, right click, Done again, right click, Finish Sketch. So now I can extrude. It's asking me which one. I'm touching this face or the circle. I want that one, and I want it to come up. It says 2.62 over there, so I'm going to type in 2.62 and hit OK. Now what I'll do is I got to right click, do a new sketch on this face. I'm going to draw a circle off of that center point, pull it out at a diameter of, it says 1.25 here. So I'm going to type in 1.25. Right click, Done. Right click, Finish Sketch. So now I'm going to extrude that inside circle. I'm going to come over here and hit Cut, and it comes down. It says 0.12 right here. So I'm going to type in 0.12, and then that creates my little indent. So now I'm going to right click, do a new sketch, select that inside face, draw another circle. This time the diameter, it says, is 0.75 through the part. So I'm going to type 0.75, enter. Right click, Done. Right click, Finish the sketch. I'll hit Extrude. Choose that inside circle. I'm going to cut the part, and I'm going to type in like 4 here. I just want to make sure that it goes all the way through the part, and I will hit OK. The biggest thing is make sure the cut button there is hit. So at this point I've got the hole going all the way through the part, and I've got the cylinder completely done. What we're doing now is we're trying to get the circles, the 4 circles on this bottom plate here, and I went ahead and I went to a right click, new sketch, and I selected this face right here. I'm going to go on to that work plane here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and click this point button in the draw command, and when I draw this I can just choose a point anywhere, and then I can right click, Done, right click, create a dimension between that point and here, and it pulls out, and I left click, and I'm pulling the dimension out. So I'm deciding where that center point is, and if I look over here in the drawing, it's 0.62. So I can click there, just double click on the dimension, 0.62, enter. 0.62 enters. Now it bumps over where the center point is at. So this is allowing me not to draw lines all over my object. It's just a point that I'm dimensioning. So then when I hit my circle, I can go off of that point at a diameter of 0.5, it says right here, 4.5. Actually, I don't want to hit done yet because I'm going to go up here and hit my point button again. Point, I'll put a point here. I'll put a point here, and I'll put a point here. Right click, done. Now I'm going to right click, create the dimension. Again, what I'm doing here is I am left clicking on the point, left clicking on the part, left clicking on the point, left clicking on the part. To double click there and say 0.62, 0.62, and then I can draw my circle, which is 0.5. Then I'm going to zoom in down here, do the same thing, right click, done, right click, create the dimension, left click on the point, left click on the part, left click on the point, left click on the part, again 0.62, 0.62, to draw my circle off of that center point with a diameter of 0.5, and then the last one, right click, done, right click, create dimension, left click, and left click, left click. That one's right on. So I'll draw my circle from that point right there, hit 0.5, enter. Now what I can do here is right click and finish everything, right click done, right click finish my sketch. So those 4 circles are all on the same sketch over here. So I can extrude, select each one of those circles, make sure I hit cut, it's going through, then I hit OK, and now that part, the bottom part, is done as well. Alright, now I need to create these fins, and these fins, we need to create a work plane that is in the middle of a part. So far we've been able to just right click new sketch and we select faces in order to draw things on. Well, this fin is not necessarily on a part. So I'm going to come up here to this plane button, and I'm going to create a plane, a work plane. And if I bring my mouse over and I just move it slowly, you can see that yellow circle kind of showing up there. I'm going to left click on that, and it gives me a work plane there. And I will left click again, so now I have an official work plane. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, I'm going to do a new sketch, I'm going to put a sketch on that work plane. Go ahead and look at it. So now as I draw my line, I'm drawing my triangle out here. On both sides. Right click done. Right click finish sketch. Let's make sure that I've got, looks like I forgot, no, that line's in there. So I'm just going to kind of tweak it again so I can see it. I'm going to hit extrude. What do I want to extrude? I want to extrude that triangle and that triangle. Now so far we've been going above, below, what this button right here will say concentric. So it's going both directions. So it's extruding it to the left and to the right at the same distance. Well, the drawing says the part is 0.25 wide total, so half of a quarter is 1/8, 0.125. And that just created my fins off of both sides right there. So I'm going to do the exact same thing again that I just did. Right click done. I'm going to come up here on my plane button, hit plane, move my mouse over the top where that yellow button pops up, click again, there's the work plane, right click, new sketch on that work plane. And now I'm flattening it out, or at least I thought I was. I've already done that side, so I need to move it around here. There we go. Now I redraw my, oh, I haven't put a sketch on there yet. I created the work plane, right click done, right click finish sketch. Maybe I did put the sketch on there. New sketch on that. There we go. Now the grid's on there, so I know I'm good. So now I'll draw a line from here and down. If it's not perfect, I don't really care. It's more about learning how to create a work plane inside of a spot or inside of the part there, so it's not a big deal if the triangles are not perfect. Right click, finish the sketch. Now I can extrude that triangle and that triangle concentric again at 0.125. And now at this point, 967 is pretty well complete. So I'm going to come up here and go to save as. I'll say 967. So now that the part is saved, I'm going to come up here and go to a new drawing. I will say, hey, I want the base view of 967. Right click, done. That's my top view of the part. I'll hit project. There's my front view. Right click, create. I'm going to project from there my right side view and my isometric view. Right click, create, and again it is done for you. Show it to me and we're done with figure 967.